3, 2, 1, go.
And we're back.
And we're live.
When y'all look at your knobby things on the microphone, how far to the extreme is it twisted?
I'm right up the middle.
Right. Yeah. Middle, man.
Man, that's where mine was. Now I'm an extremist.
You're up all the way?
It's not to 11, but it's up there.
Well, you can see your little sound waves that Zencastr is. Now you're equal to us.
Okay, because mine, it still looks small, my little sound waves. But then when I get too close, y'all are like, whoa.
Yeah.
I think it's because I have this booming voice.
And the mustache just adds a certain gravitas. Like, get that thing, give us a little distance.
Should I explain the mustache?
Sure, briefly.
We'll just let it fly.
Yeah, what's to explain?
It's because I love it.
I think that's all you need to say.
There was a great, I like these Tiny Desk concerts on YouTube. NPR has a series of like acoustic shows that they film in their office. And you ever heard of them? Tiny Desk Concert?
Yeah, I think I saw one. Well, I'm drawing. The Oh Hellos did one, didn't they?
Oh Hellos have done 2, I think.
Yeah,
so it's
I saw that one.
A lot of kind of indie bands, but they also have Taylor Swift and Lizzo, but they just have like unplugged sets. They basically do 3, maybe 4 songs at the most with their band or solo. And one band I like, Local Natives, did one, and this guy has an awesome mustache, really dark black bushy mustache. He's a guitarist. And one of the YouTube comments, actually the Tiny Desk Concert YouTube comments are some of the best on the whole internet. And one of my favorites was, I like the part at the end where his mustache turned into a butterfly and flew away.
Like a caterpillar.
Yeah, it looks like.
Well, now I'm insecure. Man, have y'all ever heard of a guy, Coyote Peterson? He's a YouTuber.
No, I've heard of Laser Lloyd, but no,
Peter Jordanson.
Oh, I've heard of Peter Jordanson too. Who's Laser Lloyd?
That was he was the official musician of the camp. He was a folk singer from Israel that Kyle Mano liked.
Nice.
That's true.
Yep.
Which I think we had a picture of him up on the cam for a little while.
We definitely had his picture up.
Laser Lloyd. That's amazing. No, Coyote Peterson is a YouTuber who like professionally gets bit and stung by horrible creatures. Yeah, it's amazing, dude.
Like Fear Factor.
It's like, but he's like all dressed up in outdoor, it's like Steve Irwin looking type stuff. And he's very scientific. And I don't know what his background is, but it's the funniest.
Well, I mean, if it's science, like that he's doing.
He says a bunch of science words. And so.
But it's basically Jackass.
I mean,
Johnny Knoxville.
Sort of. But he puts this like we're learning things bend on it.
He does his Jackass in a lab coat.
He's got like a lasso and he's got this like outdoor kind of Australian rugged hat look, and he's got these sick boots. They're sick boots. I want them. But he climbs the insect bite pain scale index. So it's like the sting index.
It's a bit like Hot Ones with the wings and the spiciness index. There's some chemical in food that makes it spicy. And they have that like nuclear bomb scale.
Scoville rating.
Yeah.
The spiciness rating.
So they have that for stings.
But it's not official, or it wasn't. But now it is. That's the thing. He was doing research.
It's the new Richter scale.
And so he would like go out and like, whoa, like capture. And he's just playing with hornets' nests, like literally. And then he'll catch them, and they'll set up this like little close setting where you can see the insect really closely, and he gets like bullet ants, which apparently one sting from a bullet ant, it feels like you're dying type stuff. Yeah. And so then he has all these cameras and EpiPens and then
my gosh, dude.
And so then you watch him sting himself. And then he comments on the pain of the sting.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting the chills, dude.
While he's like experiencing it on his arm. But what made me think of it was the comment section. I think those are the best. That's the best comment section on the internet. It is absolutely hilarious. But it's also worth a watch, man. I mean, I will throw out the 3DN recommendation on that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, start small.
Like which insect is a good one to do?
The Tarantula Wasp.
Tarantula Wasp.
The Tarantula Wasp, because it's such a cool looking insect, man. The thing looks like a Terminator bug form. He's just like jacked up and aggressive looking, like a
T-1000.
Yes. Yeah, but then he's like that big, you know?
Wow.
It's really cool. And the Tarantula Wasp one is intensely painful, but he gets over it quickly. And so I think that's a good starting point. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we can put our little
fascinating
3DN approved a Coyote Ugly or whatever. Coyote Peterson.
Coyote Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Yeah. Coyote Peterson.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you were asking about what, Mets?
Yeah. No, I wanted you mentioned it last time. Was it an article or a podcast that you listened to from the Art of Manliness?
Podcast.
It was a podcast about monotasking.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of touched on the idea a little bit, but I was just thinking a lot about it after we finished talking and kind of wanted to know more about it. The difference between monotasking and multitasking.
Did you listen to it, Rob?
No.
Oh, great. So you're asking me to summarize a podcast I listened to like 3 weeks ago instead of just listening to it?
It is, the only thought I have on it so far is that pretty much the only time I listen to podcasts is when I'm multitasking.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like there's some type of like inauthenticity, that it lacks authenticity if I would listen to that one. But
well, it's just like us talking bad about the internet and how distracting it is, and we are an internet podcast that people are using their phones to listen to. Get off your phones.
Except for us.
No, it's just like he has these psychologists and self-help type of people on all the time, and this guy's expertise, his hobby horse is monotasking, which is I think a term he coined in opposition to multitasking. I can't remember when he said multitasking first became a word, but it was basically in knowledge work, after when people started working at desks more, that you were doing two things at the same time and being, look at me, I'm being so productive, eating lunch and, typing this report or whatever. But he says, like most people, that psychological research reveals that if you're doing two things at the same time, you're actually not working anywhere close to twice as fast. In fact, you're doing both of the things slower and less well than if you just did one and then the other. So there's the dispelling the myth of that this is actually you're doing this not because you're inattentive and unable to focus, but because you're like, oh, I'm answering emails and I'm on a Zoom call and I'm ordering things on Amazon, but you're not really paying attention to any of them, or you're really just paying attention to Amazon. I think most people know that they can't hold a conversation and do email at the same time, but we still do it anyway. But then there's the other one that's just like straight up, I'm watching a movie with a friend or family member, but we're also both on our phones, which is like, we've chosen to watch this. We've agreed that this is the thing we want to spend our time and our eyes on. And yet, anytime I'm slightly bored by this movie, I'm going to be on Wordle or something. Or me, I look at my email. It's just so stupid while I'm watching a movie at like 9 at night. Like the people are going to be expecting answers to emails at 9 at night. So it was just kind of a good reminder. And his thing is like, it's just a discipline, basically. Monotasking is something, because we all multitask all the time, not just at work, but even in play, that we need to train our minds to be monotaskers. So he has a list, I think, of like 12 monotasks to practice on, one of which is walking, which I don't know if you've ever just tried to go for a walk without listening to a podcast, without praying the rosary, with just like, I'm just going to walk. I still haven't done it. I usually pray the rosary when I go for walks, but I got into going for walks recently at night. Well, yesterday was the coldest day of the year, so I didn't do that. Thinking is a monotask. Like you just sit and think. I can't remember all the ones he had, but there were some good ones that you don't really think of. Cleaning, I think, like cleaning your house.
Yeah.
Listening to music.
Yeah.
And when was the last time you listened to music by itself?
That is interesting. Of like the even the cleaning thing. That's one thing that I don't like to do, but when I do it, like I always have to, either like be listening to a book or a podcast or talking to someone, or something like that. That's interesting. And I don't want to, if there's more that you have that you want to talk on that, Mets, but just the idea of thinking as a monotask, I think that's really cool. I never heard that before, but and I've been kind of like mulling over this recently. I don't know how I would do it in my rectory now, but what's the difference between, like, I don't know, it just seems like, old accomplished people used to have studies. Like, I don't have an office, I have a study.
Yeah.
But there's something, I don't know, there's something attractive to that to me of like, I have done that just with some circumstances, that are kind of like under my realm of responsibility that have like required a lot of mental bandwidth and emotional bandwidth the last like month or so. I took really like a couple evenings that, and it was a big grace, and it just kind of like took, gosh, I mean, like a couple hours just with the Lord, invited him into it, and just kind of like sat with him. But I would say it was more, and I would say this is a good thing, it was more thinking than praying, like on it. And there was something good about it. And I was like, I need a study. I don't need an office here to do more emails.
Right.
Anyway, I don't want to be like I said, it's kind of tangential, but it's just like, wow, thinking as a monotask. I like that. That hits something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I don't even know exactly what a study is. I know one when I see one, but I don't know how I would be able to describe one. It's like a miniature library.
I'm for some reason I'm picturing green leather with those little buttons in the like the chairs that have the
buttons in the chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
You need one of those.
Dude, that's my chair right now.
Really?
It's green with gold buttons.
That's awesome.
You're in your study. Awesome.
Wow,
Am
man.
I studying right now?
You're in your study.
I think the difference between an office and a study is that the study just can't have a computer. There's no computer in it.
No computer in it.
It needs rich mahogany.
Leather-bound books.
Leather-bound books. Yeah. No, it is interesting. A lot of the people that I will read or listen to when I'm driving, when I'm multitasking, not monotasking, they'll say things like something I've been thinking a lot about, or like something that I've been putting a lot of energy towards in thought, which means that they're intentionally sitting down and saying like, no, this is a problem that I want to exercise my mind towards. and I need all of my energy to do it. And so they've just been sitting there thinking about stuff, and it's not something we really give ourselves space to do, is to just take time to think.
Yeah, to me, like, so songwriting is one for me where it's a kind of thinking that's really unpredictable. You know, how much of it's going to be productive and how much of it's going to be useless. And even still, when it's productive, it's not like particularly useful. You just made up song, you know. But it does require you not to be doing anything else. If you wanted to, I'll sometimes jot down ideas if I think of something or I hear a phrase that I think, oh, that could be a cool lyric. I'll write it in a notes app, and then I have it for later when I sit down to write a little bit. But that's kind of why I think we shy away from thinking as a monotask. Same thing with like creative writing or any kind of writing. Like I read a Friday email, and it's the kind of thing like I'll do anything until I have to do that, because as Bishop Barron said, writing is like breaking bricks or breaking rocks. There's just something kind of laborious about that kind of thinking where you're trying to create something or synthesize information. And so that's why monotasking it's not a hack. In fact, it's the opposite of a hack. It's like stop hacking and just do what normal people have always done when they want to do anything hard, which is just not stop doing other things and do that. You know?
Yeah, I guess, and this is not exactly on the same train of thought with the focus on thinking as a monotask, but one of the things that I don't know, it's interesting the way that our brain works, and this phrase, the human scale, the way that we perceive experience on a human scale. After we talked about it last time, you mentioned chugging a Coke as your monotask so that you could fully enjoy the Coke. And I think I was jamming on some cotton candy and all these different things. But yeah, and the discussion was around like, well, how do you actually properly use those things and orient them into creation the way that they're meant to be used, whatever. And I was thinking about like that dinner that you described, Rob, or like Babette's feast, that beautiful example of they're there dining. That's like what they're doing. They're not anywhere else. But even in that singular experience of what we would call dining, there's like a million different activities that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't say they're multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, now I'm picking up cup and I'm like eating bread. Those are like all different individual tasks depending on how you describe them, at what level of the human experience you're describing them.
I just thought, I'm picking up bread, I'm picking up cup, I'm being church.
I don't know why I started
Sip
using
tea, be church.
Somehow I transitioned to like Neanderthal grammar.
Yeah.
Use a pick cup, drink.
All you have to do is get rid of the article and you sound more like a caveman.
This is true. Or British. Going to university.
And aluminium.
Aluminium at hospital.
He's in hospital.
He's in hospital after university. It's like even the experience of dining. That's filled with probably more activities than you could describe. You know, depending on what level that you talk about it. But it's not multitasking. That's monotasking, being totally there. And our brains automatically do that. That they orient and integrate things that otherwise would be individual tasks into one thing, depending on whatever that thing is that we're doing. And I don't know how to describe that exactly.
Yeah, it's like a golf swing. Like that's one thing, but it's a million different mechanics. Like any complex human action, physical or otherwise, it's muscle memory. It's stuff you're not thinking of. You're doing kind of automatically. And that's the disorder of multitasking, is that we kind of like we bring things together that don't actually go together.
So is it,
Huh.
that's it. That is an interesting thought of like, it's not that, because there has to be like a telos to it, but there's something more than that. I mean, I've heard doesn't Barron use the golf swing to talk about beauty, where it has like the three, like the claritas, integritas, and whatever the third one.
Consonantia.
Yeah, consonantia. Of like, this thing is what it should be, even though it's all these different parts. Anyway, sorry, just thinking out loud there.
Yeah, but I don't know what exactly it is that unifies.
Yeah, because it's not just telos, because it's like you can't. I mean, maybe you could push it, but like use cooking as a verb, but then it's like, I don't want to be officing, and just killing emails and doing this and doing that. There's something like life draining about that. Where like the meal example is not. I don't know.
I've had experiences in offices though that are life-giving, and there's a human,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
a vibrancy to the interactions that people are having. The meetings are productive. We're like excited about a goal that we're doing. You get an email that's like, oh, cool opportunity. But there's the drag stuff, and that's true of even Babette's Feast. Somebody's got to do the dishes. It's like not everything is going to be super life-giving all the time. And I think that's my first thought. We talked about last week as well, the icon of the Trinity, the table that the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are sitting around, and we're invited to be friends with God. There's something, the Father loves the Son loves the Father, and together their love is this third person who precedes the Holy Spirit. There's something about being a person, never mind not on the human scale, obviously that's the God scale, but we are made in his image. And so that give and take, that's what I think of it with Babette's Feast, is like you are both feeding your face with rich, delicious, choice meats and wines that somebody made for you.
Did you say that? Feeding your face?
Feeding your face, yeah. So there's something kind of egotistical about it in a certain sense, but it's really I think I've never seen the movie, but I think it's really actually receiving a gift. You're being fed and you are joyfully receiving it, but then it results in this enthusiasm or exuberance to like then not be caught up in yourself and like like a bunch of teenagers binge drinking or something, like, oh, we're together being selfish. It's this gift that feeds myself, that makes myself more self-giving. And so I'm paying attention to this person next to me in this conversation, this lively whatever. So you're brought out of yourself into this. So the Father loves the Son loves the Father. It's not like one is just a sink for all of the gift. It's immediately a response. So that's where it's like two things are happening at the same time, but it's not a multitask. And that's, I think, anytime you're in a human communion mode, there is something simultaneous about that gift and receive. But I think the multitask thing, what's kind of inhuman about it is that it's so techne, it's so technological. It's like, how do I extract more out of my tools or out of my time or out of myself? And really, like, it's just not a very human way to think about yourself, versus these moments of human tasking, if you will, are more just like, they're timeless. You're not thinking about the techne, the usefulness, the utility of anything. You're just like enjoying.
Right. Because even like, I
Which
think
is why you should put the phone in the box when you're having those conversations, having that kind of encounter.
It just makes me think of like, take a Sabbath, man. Like how important that is. Yeah, it was an interesting Father Schoenstene. It just took me back to that. This was years ago. Forgotten about it, but I can't remember how he worded it. And this is definitely like paraphrasing him, but he pretty much said that like the greatest sin in today's world is not taking a Sabbath.
Wow. And that was a big sin in the Old Testament.
Yeah. Right. Because it's, yeah. And it's more than not just like, it is not giving God his due, what we owe to him, like that just ordering of our life. But it's also, I don't know, like I see this as a holy hour for my holy hour sometimes. Like I really don't want to do this. And I didn't get anything out of that. But that was an hour that, like, in a sense, I just gave to God to do whatever. And it's necessary for me to actually sit down and do that action, which is the embodiment of I want God to be a central part of my life. And so I'm at least going to give him an hour every day where I just spend time with him. Even if I don't have like some massive revelation or don't hear his voice or whatever, like don't have a powerful encounter, like that's a little way that you order your life around God. And that's kind of the Sabbath as well. It's like at least take that day to reorient your life around him. Yeah. It seems like, you know, like the mass is the example of how we take all of these individual particular like lower level elements, but then they're all integrated by Jesus and they actually enter into the divine. And so if you properly order all of those things together, it's one thing. We say that we're praying the mass, even though we're doing like 100 different activities at the same time. You know, there's so many things that go on during mass, and yet there's a way that it can feel like one thing, which is cool because like when you're doing the human thing, when you're being church and like, yeah, I don't know what's the best way to say it, but
there's a timelessness to it. I agree. The mass is the thing on earth that is the most, if like, that's where you can actually keep your eyes on it, on the prize, and just like, that's my home base. That's where everything's going. Because I will run around and feel like I'm doing a ton of stuff and not accomplishing anything, you know, because I'm a human being. I'm not a digger ant or a bullet ant or something, or a tarantula wasp. I need an ultimate purpose of why I'm getting out of bed in the morning. And to me, the only thing that makes any sense finally is the mass. And that orients your, habits of mind, heart, body. It's over time, over a lifetime, you get accustomed to that. Like this is the gift and the receiving perfected, can't do any better than this.
mm-hmm.
I'll say two things before you have to go, Mike.
Yeah.
A book that somebody recommended at our book club, we didn't end up choosing for next time, but I think I might try to read. It's called The Art of the Wasted Day. I think that's the title of it, or something to that effect. But me and Tom Byrne really want to read that, because that is something like, how do you use a day off well? How do you use afternoon off well? And this is part of what we're talking about with the Sabbath. So I can't endorse the book, but I'm going to check it out. And the other thing is that I've gotten really now into the steam room after a workout. I think it's because I'm now past 35, so I'm almost middle-aged. But that's like, you can't take your phone in the steam room, so you're just sitting there thinking or praying, and it's really very good, especially in the wintertime, to just like, I'm gonna lift. I'm saving my knees so I don't play basketball because I'm saving them for hockey, and that's a really middle-aged thing to say. But so I ride the bike after I lift, and then I'm just all sweaty. I'm like, I need a reward for this. I go in the steam room, and it's awesome. You can't even see other people because it's so steamy.
Oh, I was going to say, have the elders of the steam room, have they welcomed you in?
No, because it's a college rec center, so hardly anybody uses it. It's not like the Y where there's a bunch of old dudes.
Yeah, I guess that's more like a sauna, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, dudes, I got to get going.
Yeah, this has been great. Really love the super early one.
Go.
All right, Captain Metz. What's your actual lieutenant colonel or something?
No. I'm serious. You got to end the call.